Well, Lecrae, thank you so much for taking a few minutes to talk with us today about your new movie. Well, coming in November, which is right around the corner, but Journey to Bethlehem. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. Appreciate you, man. Thanks for the
Well,
opportunity.
yeah, no, I'm excited to talk to you about it. Anytime there's anything Christmas coming around, I'm always like game to talk about it. But you play the Archangel Gabriel in this movie, which is actually a musical. Tell me how you got even plugged in with this project.
Yeah, so it's really kind of funny. A friend of mine knew Adam Anders, and Adam was reaching out to my friend to say, "Hey, I think Lecrae would be good for this role. You think he'd audition for it?" And my friend reached out and was like, "Hey, would you audition for a movie role?" And I was like, "Of course." So um, once I heard about what the movie was and really learned about, I knew who Adam was because of the musical connections. And so I was like, oh man, this sounds amazing. I had no idea that I was going to be a part of something so phenomenal. So just to be a part of it now is like, I'm so glad I got the audition. I got the role.
Hmm. I think because it's such a unique approach to the Christmas story, obviously the nativity story at Christmas time, we're all familiar with different renditions of the story, but the fact that it's a musical, I think is interesting. The fact that it has such a diverse cast, I think is a refreshing thing to see too. Talk a little bit about that and maybe how the role and how all of it has kind of come together has impacted you.
Yes, there was so much intentionality in this film that it was mind blowing. One, the intentionality of making sure the music was good, because a lot of times you
Yeah.
get musicals that are, heavy on the story, but the music is subpar, or heavy on the music, but the story's subpar. It was so much intentionality on making a great film, great cinematography, great story, but phenomenal music. I mean, if you know Alex and Adam's background in music, High School Musical, so on and so forth, like the music is top tier. The diversity, the intentionality of, the times that we live in where people, are looking at those particular things and saying, well, what was the ancient Near East like? And what would the people have looked like? And I think that was a part of the mindset as well. And so there's people in there that are from different backgrounds, and not even, from a look perspective, but the casting people are from Spain, they're from Australia, they're from Mexico, Atlanta. So there's just people from everywhere, and it made for a phenomenal film.
Yeah. Something too, I grew up watching Antonio Banderas and all kinds of things. Just out of curiosity, what was it like working with him too?
Yeah, I mean, Antonio Banderas, one, is a really a professional. So
Yeah.
it's somebody who can just come in and adapt immediately, just living in character. Like I'm building up, I'm doing acting, coaching, and lessons, and Antonio just walks on and bam, he's right in character. But then at the same time, very humble, very down to earth, very real. Just a genuine article. Now, the fanfare was a little different, like just knowing that people like, oh my gosh, Antonio Banderas is here, and everyone freaking
Yeah.
out. That was interesting, but it was cool just to know that the likes of someone like himself, who's played so many amazing roles, was a part
Mm.
of this.
Yeah, and what was that like for you too? As somebody, obviously, you're a musician, you're a writer, you're a rapper, you're a hip hop artist. Like you've done all of that stuff, and you're known so well for that. To step into the role as an actor, what was that transition like for you?
So the funny part about it is I love performing, and actually acting was my first love. I just had put it on a back burner for music for so long. So, it was really fun for me to get back into it. Of course, after not having done it for so many years, there was a lot of rust that needed to be knocked off. So it was challenging and daunting. And when you've done, so well, and you're so dialed in on the music side, you're challenging yourself to be as dialed in on the
Mm.
acting side. So for me, it was a lot of work, even though it was, not the biggest role in the world. It was still enough for me to say, all right, I have to dial it in and really focus on how I'm delivering this and who I am and what my character represents. And Fiona was great, who plays Mary. And we were just able to bounce stuff off of each other and really grow as castmates.
Yeah. I was looking at your Instagram account earlier today and just scrolling through some of the things you had posted. And one video that you posted, I think it was in mid-September, was about the importance of Christians really being innovators and creators in the space that we live in, the space that you occupy as an artist. And I think that really resonates with what y'all are doing with Journey to Bethlehem because it's a new approach, it's a fresh approach to the story. But you talked in that video about why, as children of the creator, we should also be creating. Can you talk a little bit about the importance of stepping out of our comfort zones and really pushing the boundary as creators, as believers?
Yeah, I think for so long we've had this kind of little brother syndrome of like we are not as good as our maybe non-believing contemporaries, and we tend to just follow suit. There may be some insecurity there, so we'll copy culture, we'll condemn it, or we'll critique it, but we won't create it. And historically, we've been known for creating culture. We've been known to be, culture creators, and we serve the greatest creator of all time. And so that should be inspiration for us to go out and do amazing things. When you look at many of the Christian monuments around the world, I mean, they are ancient. Those ancient monuments are phenomenally done because, those people who were commissioned to do it were really good at it. And I think that should inspire us. We've been commissioned by God to create amazing things to reflect him and his glory. So let's work on it. Let's do it well. And let's reflect how amazing he is to the world outside.
Yeah, I think you touched on something important, and I know as somebody who's a well-known artist to both believers and non-believers, it kind of puts you in a tough spot sometimes because there are a lot of issues in our culture that need to be addressed. But also as Christians, we don't want to be known as just the no people, right? We don't want to be constantly condemning everything. So as an artist with a platform, how do you toe that line of speaking out on things that are problematic in our secular world, but also creating new things and really paving the way as well?
Yeah, I think the key for me has been to walk in the tension of it all. I think sometimes we want to be, we want to work in humble excellence, but at the same time, we want to be innovative and creative. And then we want to be distinct and we want to be transformative. And so sometimes we'll lean in one of those quadrants more than the other. We'll say, well, we got to be distinct. We got to tell and challenge the world to, we don't do this and we don't do that, or we got to transform things and we've got to show them what a different picture this looks like, or we've got to just be humble and quiet and excellent. And I think the tension in living in all those spaces and just kind of praying and saying, okay, God, is this a time to be distinct? Is this a time to be, for humble excellence? Is this a time for innovation? What is this? And just relying on God to give you the wisdom in those moments to do that.
Yeah, I think the consequence of that is when we do that, one, it's tricky, and so we're gonna step in some landmines when we do it. It's just the nature of stepping out of our comfort zones, and I think we're going to make mistakes as believers when we engage in these things. But the important part is not never stepping out. It's that owning it when we make mistakes and then kind of humbly saying, look, I messed up here, or, this is what I believe, but I should have worded it differently. Or it's how do we navigate that in humility and say, look, I made a mistake, but I'm still going to press forward with what I know to be true.
Absolutely. I mean, you're dialed in 100%. And I think that's the key right there is just, you look at a Peter who was cutting off ears and denying Jesus, but he didn't live there. Jesus still came to him and said, I need you to feed my sheep. And so he had to own that and embrace that and then move forward. You got Paul who says, hey, look, I'm the chief of sinners, but I'm not stopping or slowing down. I'm owning where I've been wrong and moving forward because there's restoration and opportunity for growth in that process.
Well, my last question for you, on to round it back to Journey to Bethlehem. It'll be out in November.
Yeah.
What are you most excited for people to see when they come out of the theater? What do you want them to be thinking about?
Oh, man, I don't, it's funny because I wonder what people's expectations are. It supersedes every expectation in every category. So if you're wondering about the quality or the music, it's so good. The music is written phenomenally. the quality of the film, because typically Christians are not known for high quality film or writing or storytelling, but it supersedes all expectations in that regard. The acting is phenomenal because these are really well trained actors. And then, outside of that, I think it's still impactful. It's still like very, heart wrenching, and you just feel the joy and the beauty of the story being told. So there's, yeah, I want to see people's expectations like exceeded.
Mm.
That's what I'm excited about.
Yeah, no, I think you're so right about that. We should be constantly raising the bar as believers. We have access to the ultimate in creativity,
Yeah,
so we should be excellent in our creativity as well. And I will say, look, I think you're right about some past Christian movies, but we are getting better. We're
that's
doing a
right.
little bit better now, you know. So hopefully this is another step in the right direction. Well, Lecrae, thank you so much for taking a few minutes to talk with us.
Of course, man. I appreciate you.